All right, we are recording. So welcome everyone to the monthly community call. Today will probably be a little bit of a shorter one, just a heads up there. I don't know if anyone can hear it in my voice, but we were at breakpoint this past week and a little bit tired. Oh, sorry, Hashcode. There, you missed the earlier dad joke.
Apparently, you get rugged on the sound.
All right. We'll read yours. Why don't lions eat clowns?
Don't they taste funny? Yeah.
Hey. All right. You got any more? Before we get started?
Let's do this. Let's go.
All right. I apologize. You probably hear it in my voice a little bit. I'm working off a 12-hour time change, so please bear with me if my brain isn't working correctly. But yeah, let's get started. So just a heads up, this meeting is being recorded. This will be posted in the Foundation channel shortly after this call is completed, so you can go back and check it there. We have a note taker today. That is Waveform. Thank you very much, Waveform. If there's any additional items, questions or anything like that, feel free to pop it in chat. You can ping myself or Waveform, and we'll assist you there. And as always, I do this every month. I hate to sound like a broken record, but just for everyone listening, just a quick safety update for Discord. Just a reminder, there is no official Helium support. We will not DM you. We will not send you messages about clicking any links or inputting your seed phrase anywhere. Please do not respond to any friend requests or DMs that you're getting. All help and assistance that you'll get in our Discord is through public channels, unless we specifically say in public that we will message you. Click on that person's name, make sure it's who they say they are. There's a lot of imposters going around, including myself, Waveform, and moderators. Double check the Discord names if they actually match our names in here. You can see the roles. We have colored roles. Purple is for Foundation, orange is for moderator. Double check that in the Discord. Okay. Secondly, please use our Moken bot. It is the Ask Moken bot in the general channel. If you have any questions about your hotspot that you want to figure out why it's not earning or you need any kind of support on it, go into the Moken bot, type it in there, and AI will answer your questions. Just a quick thing, don't share any information that is private. In that Moken bot, we can see it as moderators. We can jump in and help if you need help in there. So don't put any seed phrase, don't put your private key or any sensitive information that you don't want shared with the entire team. Just a heads up. Okay. So other than that, we're going to get moving. And yeah, if you have anything else to add, feel free to add to the chat. But we're going to start out with a engineering update. And Hashcode, if you want to take that one.
Sure. So a couple of things that we're working on this week. Number one, we're sort of finishing up the testing around proxy voting, and we want to launch that ASAP. App is in test flight and ready to go. We're trying to fix up the staging site so that folks can see it before we launch it as well. But the staging Helium website at least. So that's sort of in progress, and we want to land that. We're also testing. There's a community contribution from the Keystone team. This is a hardware wallet that supports the Solana ecosystem and others as well. An alternative to like a ledger. It actually has air-gapped security, so the way that you interact with it is through QR code scanning, essentially. So it's not like plugging in a ledger or using BLE for the ledger NanoX. So they did a bunch of work to integrate their hardware wallet into into our mobile app. So we're testing that this week and trying to make sure that that is ready to go as well. That's probably going to go out in a 2.10 release. So that's really on the app side. On the protocol side, a couple of changes that we've been working on, including enabling data-only hotspots for mobile in testnet or in DevNet. We actually had the first one come online this week. And so testing has started. Very excited about this. And we're hoping that we'll have a lot of folks really interested in doing this one when it's live. There's obviously protocol work's not the only part of the work. There's some sort of work on the Oracle side and some work on the integration side and some docs that need to be shared. I think some folks in the community might have seen Mario from Nova Labs' network team posting his Ubiquity setup that was supporting Helium Mobile. So that was not on chain yet, but they'll soon be on chain. So that's on the protocol side. There's been a bunch of Oracle updates over the last month, specifically around some of the hips that were passed to some of the sort of the bridge the gap hips, as I like to call them. So all of that was sort of over the last month, and I know there's going to be more of those over the next month as well. So that's the very quick engineering update on the stuff that we're actively working on. As far as Helium v3 related engineering work, and just in general, other unimplemented HIPs, we're going to kick off implementation of HIP 124. That's the active, what I like to call active governance rewards, essentially. And so we're going to start kicking that off, start to scope some of the work that we proposed in the 3.0.1 release. The 3.0.1 v3 proposal. And so starting to scope what some of that staking work looks like. The HST work should be fairly quick if we implement the way that I'm thinking of implementing it. And so, yeah, we just want to get a rough scope of it before we sort of have a HIP out there so that it can land somewhat quickly after the vote. So those are the very fast protocol sort of future updates that we have.
Awesome. Thank you for the update, Hashcode. Appreciate it. We are going to be jumping around a little bit, just a heads up, due to a couple of people being out. We're just going to move around the schedule a little bit, so hopefully that's not too jarring. So we are going to jump ahead to the working groups. So we're going to get an update from Joey first here. So take it away, Joey.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. The IoT working group has been working on a number of topics. Most notably, there's been some lively discussion around the retargeting of data transfer on the IoT network, the pricing of data transfer on the IoT network. So this is kicked off in a number of forms, ranging from models where individual devices need a slot or a seat on the network in order to operate, and that would be a build entity. And then sort of the other primary model is looking at multipliers on top of the base data credit price. The implementation that I've been sort of seeing the working group and the discussion rally around here is that we would leverage the multi-buy value and increase it by some multiplier. And then that would be a base for all data, all message transfer. So in other words, all messages would be locked in at a 10 times multiplier of data transfer. The other piece of this is that we would ensure that each message cost that multiplier. So if one hotspot were to report that message up to that sort of base multiplier, that single hotspot would receive all 10 data credits in that scenario. So this model has a couple of interesting benefits, which is that it starts to solve challenges for operators leveraging downlinks on the network, because they would implicitly have a broader set of metadata for those messages. And something else, but I'm also tired, so I apologize. I'm maybe not conveying that as clearly. There's, I think, a couple of angles. Armon and Neil have sort of uh, two tracks in terms of the direction to take a proposal like this. There's probably some uncertainty around the multiplier, and I sort of threw out a 10 number, but there's arguments that it should be higher. There's arguments that it should be lower. The general approach that I've been looking at here is that we need to get a lot of feedback from network users. They are generally the most underrepresented participants in the network from a governance standpoint. And so it's going to sort of behoove us as a working group to be doing proactive outreach to make sure that those folks are considered. And of course, all of this is with the sort of primary goal of bringing more data transfer rewards to the individual hotspot operators on the network. And we've sort of looked at this as a liveliness metric or a sort of longevity metric for the network to know that a user can go and deploy a gateway and have some expectation of a data transfer reward that where their hardware gets leveraged. Ed mentioned WeatherXM. I do want to give a shout out. There's been a number of network users that have sort of proactively joined the conversation, WeatherXM being a sort of notable participant there. Leo from their team has been sharing his thoughts both personally as well as like as a representative of WeatherXM. And so it's really important to understand who we're serving as sort of operators of this network, and making sure that all of this aligns with their efforts. So that's my summary. I don't know if we want to pull up maybe Neil or Armon, but feel free to throw some notes in the chat if you think there's something that we should talk about there. There we go. Armon,
Awesome.
let's pop up.
Yeah, come on up. We'll just mute here and you can take it away.
Hey, y'all, can you hear me all right?
Yep, can hear you.
Perfect. Yeah, so I want to echo, first of all, just generally, I want to say thank you to the IoT working group for starting a lively discussion. And I think the IoT working group is kicking around a lot of interesting ideas right now. So definitely a lot of respect to that group, everyone involved. So just first of all, thank you for the engagement. This is what to see. I really care about the IoT network and doing something good with it. I've put a HIP draft out there that is very simple, and it came before a lot of the ideas that Joey just mentioned on how to modify IoT data pricing in a more nuanced way. So the HIP draft that I've put out there as of now, it just calls for a 50x increase in the pricing of data credits. I don't actually think that is the right number or the right way forward. I think some of the things that Joey has mentioned, like giving free multi-buy packets, and I think the other thing, Joey, that you were trying to remember was potentially allowing packets to have the same rate regardless of how big they are, right? So singular data pricing. I'm guessing that's what you were going to say.
That is one of the ideas I've bounced around. I don't think I mentioned it in that rundown though. But
Right. Okay. So I just wanted to fill in that gap there. So these are the types of ideas we're kicking around of how not only to make the IoT network more sustainable by increasing the data pricing, but also to simplify and make the model much easier to understand and comprehend, and also giving advantages to a lot of different network users who are currently plagued by the complexity of some of the pricing models, or just having a really hard time because they're sending larger packets or needing to get downlinks. There's a lot of solutions that we could provide in addition to just simply making the network more sustainable by charging more. And I think we're continuing to see feedback from network users on what type of pricing would work for them. And I hope that we can get a update to the HIP done in the next few days, where we incorporate all of these mechanisms that I just mentioned, and hopefully get even more feedback based on that update. And then I think there is significant will to get something done here. So hopefully we can get it to a vote in not too long. But I do think as just echoing Joey's sentiment, like that feedback from the users of the network really does matter. So I'm fully open to adjusting, whatever is being proposed with all of that in mind.
Yeah, thanks, Armand. I think you summarized that perfectly. So I've been really encouraged to work with you and Neil and Kent and a number of other folks. I've brought a lot of really valuable insight to the table.
Yep.
I feel
Yeah, totally. And even like the chat has been pretty heated, but like tons of respect to like Neil and Leo and just everyone who's been contributing in there. I think we're all on the same page if we just want this IoT network to succeed and thrive, and we just need to figure out what the right parameters to do that are. So that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I actually had somebody reach out and they asked why the network didn't cost more. So there's a lot of opinions to work with here, and we'll find the middle ground for sure.
Sounds great. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your community call.
Thanks for hopping on.
And just to clarify too, so that conversation that Rarman was mentioning is happening in a relatively new channel under governance. It's labeled IoT-V3. That naming is probably not correct. It was just kind of
Yeah, I vote for changing that.
yeah, it was a little bit
Yeah.
like tongue in cheek when we made that. So
It's a
that'll
meme.
yeah,
Most trolly.
yeah, that was fair.
Yeah.
Fair with me. I
So
did that when I was on a plane.
maybe like IoT data pricing or something like that. But yeah, that's the channel. You can find it at the bottom of the HIP category for anyone that's looking at for it.
For what it's worth, I could throw a whole lot more stuff in there. We could do a whole landing page. It'd be glorious.
We'll be swapping that out to make more sense. So in the meantime, I popped it in the chat. You can read up on the last conversation happening in there under currently IoT-V3. So let's just take a look. All right. Thank you again, Rarman, for coming up and talking on that.
Yes. Oh, sorry, real quick, just tossing this in. I just looked at the chat, and someone was tossing around an idea of like the first packet per device per day costs more DC. This is also an idea that I'm considering pitching of like the first packet per hour costs more DC, but I'm still waiting to hear if that's technically feasible. So just tossing that in there for anyone who's like deeply interested in this subject. But we'll continue the chat in the channel.
Cool. Sounds good. I don't believe Boris is around for this call today. I think he mentioned he is out, so unfortunately, I don't think we'll have an update.
Do you want to tag JD in, or somebody else from the working group want to?
Yeah. Let's see. 1 second here. Bear with me for one moment. I see your message, JD. That's fine. I mean, if there's no update from the mobile working group, that's fine. But if someone wants to mention anything,
I mean, Hashcode mentioned it. The data-only mobile hotspots is a big deal, so that'll be really exciting to see. So I'm sure the working group on the mobile side will have some stuff to say about that on the next call.
perfect. Okay. All right, so I guess we can move forward. Again, sorry, we're kind of going out of order today. So next up, we'll do hips past. Actually, Jay, thank you for stepping up. Awesome. Come on up.
Mobile working group time.
Yeah, thanks, Jay.
Hey guys, how you doing?
So many cats. Yeah, great, Jay. Thanks for coming up.
Yeah, just a quick update. You mentioned the data-only hotspots, and those are, you got the update from Abai, but those should be going online on the network pretty soon, this week or next. And we should have instructions soon on how anybody can add Ubiquiti hotspots to the network as part of that program, and expanding to future brands after that. No real timeline on the expansion though, but that's super exciting. I personally think this is like the biggest kick in the rear end that the network has had, and we're just, data offload has been huge so far, but it's going to go exponential after this. Yeah, we meet every Thursday, the working group, every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. So we meet tomorrow, and we have a few new HIPs being introduced or discussed tomorrow that haven't really seen broader engagement from the community yet. One is brand new, and two don't have channels yet. So the HIPs we'll be discussing are scaling mobile mappers, which is a proposal written by Zero Tweets, but really moves us towards moves us into verification mapping, in addition to discovery mapping. And then there's another HIP, bridging the gap for anti-gaming measures. We have seen a lot of misasserted or male-asserted hotspots, taking advantage of our hex. Man, I wrote 103, but I can't remember what we called it. The hex boosting and HIP 103. A lot of people taking advantage of that. So there's a HIP here to help mitigate those until HIP 118 goes live. And there's another HIP that has not actually been introduced to the working group yet. So you'll get a little preview called Reward Mobile Carrier Beta Hotspots. That is written by Jay Hella. And I actually don't have that one in front of me and haven't read through it yet, so I can't give you a good summary of that. But tune in tomorrow at Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern, and you'll be able to hear all about it. I think that's everything for us, Keenan.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's a really thorough update. I really appreciate you jumping in there. Yeah, and on that note, so tomorrow, working group meeting. If you click the little events button in your Discord, you can click the little reminder bell, and the call is, correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, it's 2 p.m. Eastern, I believe.
Correct.
So yeah, that'll be tomorrow, and you can follow along in, just gonna pop it in the chat here, mobile working group. That is what we call a fishbowl channel. So you can't write in there, but you can read what the mobile working group is working on at the time. So feel free to check that out, everyone. Okay, thank you very much, Jay. I appreciate it. If there's anything else, feel free to pop back in. All right, we're gonna move on. Yes, I will not forget the Moken call as well, JD. That is happening at, my time is a little bit off here, but again, JD, correct me if I'm wrong, but that would be noon Eastern? 1 p.m. Eastern. Okay, gotcha. And that is also in our Discord events, so you can click the events tab and get notified on that as well. JD runs a great call. All right, so we'll circle back again to HIPS Pass. So we'll start out with IoT HIP 124, securing IoT governance through staking rewards. Neil, are you available to talk on that one? Pause there for a second.
Did we talk about that last month?
I believe
when that time is a construct.
Yeah, the last little while has been a bit of a whirlwind for us. So.
Well, just as a general recap, HIP 124 introduced the idea that a portion of the Oracle rewards for the IoT network could be emitted for active voting participation. I'll kind of leave the summary at that. And so there'll be a threshold of at least 2 votes, I believe. And then folks that have VE IoT staked would be eligible for a portion of that IoT emission. Hopefully that's the right summary with my fuzzy brain.
Gotcha. Thank you, Joey.
So congrats to Neil. He put a lot of work in, and I think it was Siegfried and Chris Farabee as well, if I remember correctly.
Perfect. Okay. We will move on from there. So we did discuss a couple of these things already, new hips and updates from the working group updates. So we can kind of move through these a little bit, but let's see. I don't believe some of these people are here today to discuss some of these topics. Just bear with me for 1 second here. Okay. Just looking at new hips and updates. We don't have anything numbered yet. I don't believe Fizzy is around as well. Okay, looks like no Fizzy. We don't have Boris, unfortunately. Do we have no one at all, by any chance, if they want to speak on their proposal? That one is hotspots providing redundant coverage, compete with first to witness. Okay, nope, doesn't look like we have that. Correct, hashcode. That fits quite well. All right, yeah, sorry, I know we're jumping around a little bit. All right, well, you know what? I think we're gonna bounce back to the beginning of the call here and just give you a quick update on the events. So, like I mentioned, we were at Breakpoint in Singapore, hence why my brain not working correctly. Yeah, I am absolutely still recovering, Siegfried. I apologize to everyone. Clearly, I am not on my game right now. But unfortunately, British Guy is not around to give an update on the event. So I do have just a couple of quick notes to read through here just to keep everyone posted. So on that note, yeah, we are returning from Singapore. That was quite the distance, and Breakpoint was awesome. There was about 6,000 attendees this year to Breakpoint. It was absolutely massive, by far the biggest Breakpoint that has happened. It was just incredible. There was tons of people. Yeah, I was walking around with a mobile hotspot. People were connecting to it. The key message of this breakpoint was deepen. That was kind of the keyword. I personally thought it was going to be AI. It wasn't. Deepen was the word of the year, and helium was mentioned quite literally everywhere you went. Anything that was talked about regarding deepen, it was always referencing back to helium, which was really nice to see. There was a lot of people who did their talks about their own product that also mentioned helium. I believe Hive Mapper went up on stage. They talked about their own project, but then referencing helium a lot. They were referencing the mobile network and data offload, and it was really nice to see. With that hotspot walking around too, I had multiple people come up to me, and they're like, "Hey, I just checked out my phone. It says I'm connected to Helium Mobile. I'm a Helium Mobile subscriber back in the States," and it was just really fun to see. So that was really cool. A couple other notes from. Let's see here. Yeah, I already mentioned helium was mentioned in basically every major deepen panel. Really quite cool. Hashcode participated in multiple panels. I think those are recorded, so they should be up, I believe, to watch. We were featured alongside the Redner Network, Hive Mapper, Geodenet. Tushar from Multicoin was on the OKX main stage. That was pretty cool. Abai also spoke at the Harnessing Blockchain for Global Good panel. Noah was there as well. He spoke at several events. Noah is always a celebrity at these events. If you walk around with Noah, you get stopped multiple times. He's quite the celebrity. The Paracel panel, Hack Singapore, and Deepen Days panel. There's just so much going on. Joey participated in a fireside chat with Hotspotty, Anakoi, and Hive Mapper. Abai also spoke on a panel with Open Ledger at Marina Bay Sands. And lastly, Abai took part in a debate on the left curve stage. I forget what the title of that was, Hashko. Do you remember? That was
Our
is
deepens overhyped. Yeah, it was our deepens overhyped and capital inefficient.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, it
really
was a really
engaging.
fun format. It was with Matt Stevenson at Pantera, who's the head of research there. He's like OG, like token design researcher person.
Yeah, that was a really very interesting debate. It was a blast. So again, I believe all this is recorded. I'm sure it'll be out to view either now or soon. So once I have those links, I will post them in our Discord for everyone to watch. I think they're really important and just a lot of fun as well. Also, there was lastly, Josh did a presentation and was featured speaker at Deepen Night, and he was invited by the Kozo team, I believe. Yeah, so I know I'm really just kind of recapping here very basically. I'll have a more in-depth update for you later on, again, when our brains are all working and I'm back on a normal time zone. Still kind of recovering from that. But yeah, it was an absolute blast. Breakpoint is always just high energy. It was great to see a lot of the projects as well that we saw last year, that how far they've come along. Yeah, it'll be. Oh, and then the next one was announced for Abu Dhabi next year. If you're interested in going, I highly recommend it. All right. So yeah, our agenda is kind of light today. I don't believe we have much more to add. It's we're coming to the end here. Yeah, it looks like a lot of people are actually still out from the conference. So we're probably going to end it a little bit soon, unless anyone has anything to add, any of the working groups, anyone wants to jump in, feel free. I'll pause there for just one moment. Yalla, Habibi. Love it. All right, I'm not seeing anything being added here. Hashcode, if you have anything to add, let me know. Otherwise, we're probably going to call it a little bit early today.
No, let's call it early. Yeah, I mean, I will just sort of end to say that, being in Asia the last week, kind of reminded me a lot about the fact that we're very US focused. And JD just asked this question in chat about, expansion into Asia. Specifically, Josh's comment about Japan and Southeast Asia. I mean, there absolutely is interest. Most of the conversations I had around this, I talked about data only hotspots as a way to get started, but also the need for a localized carrier, right? Someone there has to do the same thing that Helium Mobile is doing in the US, or it has to be just a pure offload relationship. But the way to really start, I think, is data only hotspots, and then we'll start to see someone local actually taking on the reins. It takes it'll take a very long time, I think, for a full-fledged carrier to pop up. I mean, it took many years for something like that to exist here in the U.S. for us, and so I think that that these cycles are long, but there is interest. I've certainly had conversations with folks in multiple countries at this point, from Southeast Asia and East Asia. So it is there's a lot of interest there. But yeah, it's a part of the world that we, as a Helium team, the core, like certainly the core devs, haven't really spent a lot of time there, and so it was useful to get this kind of insight. Breakpoint next year is going to be, as mentioned, it's going to be in the UAE. Again, very, very different regulatory landscape. Mostly like a monopoly on the telecom side. Not exactly, like there's some privatization, but so it's every country is very special, very different. So yeah. As far as the token event, I think the panel was recorded. I just don't know if they've published it yet. I haven't heard yet. But it was a fun one. It was with Tushar, Ariel from HiveMapper, Mike from GeoDNet, where Mike actually dropped that that they're considering moving to Solana or adding support for Solana. Some cool alpha over there. I'd love to hear it. And then also Jules from Render as well. So it was a good chat.
Yeah, I think we're still waiting on some of that video stuff to be processed. I haven't seen anything yet, but
Breakpoint was incredibly fast. They had content back to us within like 3 hours, which
oh wow,
blew my mind. Yeah.
Gotcha. I'll on that note, then I'll when I get a chance here, take a look and throw some stuff into our Discord so people can find it easier.
Awesome.
And yeah, just one last thing again is like I'm probably underselling it or understating it, I should say, but Helium really did dominate the anything deep in space mentioned, which was everywhere. Helium was mentioned over and over and over, and it was kind of funny actually. It just kept getting brought up, so just for people to be aware that yeah, the pin Helium was yeah everywhere. So it was really nice to see that, and tons of people coming up to us and just saying how much they appreciate the Helium network and both IoT, mobile. It was really quite awesome to see. So yeah, we'll end it on that note. Again, this has been a bit of a shorter call, but yeah, we'll catch up again next month. The next call is scheduled for Wednesday, October 23rd. You can, again, find that in the events tab in Discord. So click events. It'll say Helium Community Call. Click the little icon to remind yourself. And it'll add it to your calendar. And we will check back in 1 month. That is all. This call has been recorded. It will be posted again in the Foundation channel shortly later today. And yeah, that is it, folks. Again, thanks for joining in and bearing with me while I get my bearings back. Thank you all, and we'll talk to you again soon. Have a good week, everyone. Bye-bye.